Little Gamer here with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile update. This time it's going to be on my, again, on my DDD deck. I went to the regionals yesterday and I got quite a few new cards. I'm also going to be running a couple of other decks. Like I'm actually going to get a Burning Abyss deck, hopefully even a Burning Abyss and Phantom Knight deck up and running soon. But let's just go with this for now. So first of all, I'm going to start with my main deck and the monsters, like we always do. Okay, so I got 2 copies of my DDD Rebel King Leonidas. I got this yesterday. Basically, if you when you take effect damage, which is except during the damage step, you can destroy any card. You can destroy this card, and if you do this. If you do any effect damage you would take, goes to the other player, inflicts the other player this turn, and it increases their life points up to the amount instead. Yeah, okay. It's monster effect when you take effect damage, except during the damage step again, you can special summon this card from your hand. So basically, if I take effect damage, I can special summon King Leonidas from my hand. And yeah, so that's pretty good. Next, I run 3 copies of DDD Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. I'm basically not gonna say the effects of cards that I've already said before. If you want to check out the effects of the previous cards that I've done the deck in deck list, you guys can just go over to my next my first or second deck profile. Next is DD Savat Kepler. I run 3 of him. Sorry, guys. And he's basically the scale 10, and he can allow me to add up to a Dark Contract card. He can allow me to bring up a Dark Contract card from my my deck right to my hand, or I can banish a triple D monster from my graveyard, and then my opponent's monster that I target basically loses that attack points. Next is my scale 3 Galilei. He's essentially another pendulum monster that I use in this deck. I run 3 copies of him, and his monster effect is I can send up to 1 DD monster I control back to my hand. I have 2 Berfomets. DD Berfomets, and what they do is I can choose 1 DD monster on my field, and I can change its level between 1 and 8. So I can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, and I can change its level from its normal level to that level for the turn. Next, I have 3 copies of DD Swirl Slime. DD Swirl Slime allows me to fusion summon with Swirl Slime as a monster and as a poly from hand, as well as another monster. So usually what I do is I have Swirl Slime and Necro Slime in my hand, and essentially I send it and Necro Slime to my graveyard, and I fusion summon my Oracle King Dark. Okay, guys? Next I run 2 copies of DD Necro Slime. It's the same effect, but from the graveyard. Then I run 2 copies of Max C. When my opponent special summons a monster, every time they special summon a monster, the turn I discard Max C, I get to draw for that amount of monsters. Alright, so that's the monsters, guys. We're going to move on to the spell cards. So, next, I run 3 copies of Dark Contract with the Gate. Dark Contract with the Gate, I get to search my deck for a DD monster once per turn, and then in my next standby phase, I take 1,000 life points. Okay, guys? What I usually do is if I don't have a Galilei or a Kepler in my hand, I basically bring those to my hand, set the scales, and then pendulum summon, alright? Next, I have 2 copies of Dark Contract with the Swamp King. If I don't have the monsters in my hand, like what I'll do is I'll use Soul Charge, and then I'll bring back like 4 or 5 monsters, and then I'll use Dark Contract with the Gate for the ones for that turn, and then I'll fusion summon. Okay. On my next standby phase, just like Gate, I lose 1,000 life points, and then I run 1 copy of Soul Charge, which I pay 1,000 life points for. I special summon as many monsters as I really can, and then I lose life points equal to the amount of monsters I summoned onto the field at that time. Okay? Alright, so that's it for the spells, guys. We're going to move on to the traps. Okay, so I run two copies of Dark Contract with the Witch. Basically, if I control a DD monster or Dark Contract card, sorry, I can discard, or I can send one DD or Dark Contract monster card from my hand to the graveyard. Then I can target one card on the field, destroy it. I can only use the effect of it once per turn. And essentially, all fiend type monsters I control during that turn gain 1,000 attack during my opponent's turn only, and I can only use its effect once per turn, and I take 1,000 damage every standby phase. I run 2 copies of Dark Contract with Errors. What that allows me to do is, if I control a DD monster, I can negate the activation of spell cards only once per turn, and I take 1,000 on my standby phase. I then have 2 copies of DD Contract Change. DD Contract Change allows me to either do 2 things. When my opponent declares an attack, I can either banish one DDD monster from my graveyard, and if I do, I can. Sorry, this is the one where the attacking monster loses the attack of a DDD monster in my graveyard, or I can add 1 level 4 or lower DD monster from my deck to my hand. Okay. Next, I have 2 copies of DD Human Resources. That allows me to basically send 3 DD monsters from the field, deck, or I believe hand. From the deck, hand. From the deck or the hand. And it essentially allows me to send them back. I get to search for 2 DD monsters from my deck, and I get to add them to my hand. Next is Contract Laundering. I run 2 Contract Laundering. What it does is I can activate Contract Laundering, and if I have a bunch of contract cards on the field, say I have 4 contract cards on the field, use Contract Laundering, I gain 4,000 life points. The contracts go to the graveyard, and then I get to draw 4 cards. Next, I have 1 copy of Blazing Mirror Force. When my opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy as many monsters as possible in attack position, and that my opponent controls. And then, if I do, take damage equal to half the monster. Okay, so I can also use this in conjunction with my Oracle King Dark. So I can use Blazing Mirror Force. Then what would happen is, my opponent loses all their attack position monsters, and instead of losing the 1,000 for each, I gain the 1,000. I have also 1 copy of Breakthrough Skill, 1 copy of Time Space Trap Hole, and 1 Deck Devastation Virus. Okay, guys? That's the traps. Next, we're going to go into the extra deck. Okay. I've got a couple new cards. I think 1 for now for this. I do have a Mass Hero Dark Law, but I do not have any Max Change 2s. I couldn't find any. So yeah. So essentially for the I have 2 copies of DDD Oracle King Dark. Its effect is basically if I take damage from an effect, if I would be inflicted damage by an effect, I gain it instead. Okay. Next is DDD Duodong King Caliuga. You need 2 level 8s for him, and essentially he's a 3,500 attacker or 3,000 defender, which is really, really good. And he's on the turn he summoned, you can't use any card effects, and then I can detach 1 Xyz material from him, and I can destroy all spell and trap cards on the field. So he's basically a huge Emmet. He's basically a heavy storm. 1 DDD Marksman King Tell. I'm going to take him out, so I'm not really going to bother saying the effect. 1 King Caesar. 1 Big Eye. I can detach an Xyz material, and then I get control of an opponent's monster. 1 number 101 Silent Honor Arc. Basically, I can detach both materials off Silent Honor Arc, and if my opponent special summon a monster, I can take control of that as an Xyz material. Abyss Dweller. Diamond Dire Wolf. 1 copy of both. 1 copy of Artifact Durandal. 1 Dino Stir. 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy. 1 Magister Paladin, and 1 copy of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Okay, guys? So that's it for the extra deck. Next, I'm going to do the side. So the side's going to be a little different because I've taken out some cards and I've added some cards. So we're going to start with that. So I've got 1 Rebel King. I've got 2 Vector Pendulums. Okay, I've got 1 Luster Pendulum. I've got 1 Master Pendulum. I've got 1 Draco Face-Off. I've got 1 Max C. 1 Summoner Monk. 1 Vanity's Emptiness for Cosmos. 1 Mask of Restrict for Monarchs. 1 Dark Contract for theirs. 1 DDD Contract Change. 1 Horn of Heaven. 1 Grand Horn of Heaven. And 1 Solemn Warning. Okay, guys? So that's my DDD deck. I'll see you guys next time with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, gameplay video, or game review. Have a good one.
Finger may have gotten in the way, so you may want to redo it with John.